Okay, and Max, out of the cans, what would you give this on a horror scale?
I liked this movie a lot. I think I'm going to have to go 5.5 cans on this one.
5.5 cans for the film VHS.
To me, it was a near perfect movie.
All right.
I had very little to complain about.
Well, that's just, so many of you out there, if this is, you want to get the bejesus scared out of you for around Halloween, we highly recommend here at the Big and Tall Show VHS.
I think we're ready for some Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. Yes, I think we are too. Our next DVD that we're going to be reviewing for our horror segment this week is Cabin in the Woods, and it is 105 minutes, and it stars Chris Hemsworth, Fran Kranz, Kristen Connolly, Anne Hutchison, as well as roles from Richard Jenkins, Bradley Whitford, and some other cameos and big roles from stars that I don't want to tell you about because it'll give it away. But you should definitely... This one is quite the trip, and check this one out. Here's a little clip from it. Here is Cabin in the Woods.
The lambs have passed through the gate. They are come to the killing floor. Get this party started!
I seriously believe something weird is going on. What is that thing?
We have to stay together. This isn't right. We should split up.
Yeah, good idea. Really?
5 friends go to a remote cabin in the woods. Bad things happen. If you think you know this story, you think you've seen this story, you haven't seen this story. Max, what can you tell us about Cabin in the Woods?
Oh, well, it's definitely, I think, equal parts horror and comedy, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Let me see. It was directed by, Drew Goddard, who I believe wrote the script for Cloverfield a few years ago.
Yeah.
And written and produced by Joss Whedon, who has become a pretty household name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Year.
Yeah, he did this little movie called The Avengers.
Maybe you've heard of it.
You might have heard of it.
Yeah, he's pretty hot right now.
And The Awesome Firefly. Check it out. Strong recommendation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Really, I thought it was a great movie.
It was
you get what you are looking for with this one.
Old school premise, but quite a big twist on this. They got the Enchanted Woods. There's a little bit of hidden agenda in the film that you don't really realize that kind of outlines what happens to the 5 kids in the woods. I noticed some control things that I noticed in the Hunger Games film, as well as some Evil Dead-esque setup as far as obviously the cabin in the woods and transporting themselves like through a parallel time or whatever.
The cabin itself was almost a doppelganger of the cabin they used in the Evil Dead films.
Yeah, I think they were pretty much right on key with that. But it does have quite a bit of comedy, and when you can get Richard Jenkins in it, the father from Step Brothers. Yes, you can't go wrong with some of his stuff. But yeah, quite a few twists and turns, and I watched it and was at the end was just like, wow, how is this happening? Because you just can't really expect what you're going to see in this one, and it's gotten really good reviews.
So was this done before Thor, or is this after?
I think
this was made a couple years before Thor. I think it sat on a shelf for,
I think it might have done that too.
So then they kind of capitalized in on Chris Hemsworth. He kind of became a big star, and
yeah, I think they used his name to get some word out about the movie before it released.
To know, guys, what are your can ratings for Cabin in the Woods?
My personal rating on it, out of 6, I would probably give it 4.5, just to be a strict guideline on it. But the surprising factors that are involved with it were pretty cool, I thought, as a film, and definitely one that you'd like as a horror movie.
How about you, Max?
I actually would have to agree. I think I'm gonna lay it right down on 4.5 cans.
Okay.
This one.
All right.
Personally, you don't see many movies that let the burnout be the semi-hero.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, exactly. Watching Cabin in the Woods and its similarities in set design of the Evil Dead genre, you can't really get into horror genre without a little bit of Bruce.
This is my boomstick.
And you can't, think about the possibilities when you keep hearing rumors that they're going to be doing another Evil Dead film without thinking about Bruce.
Yo, she-bitch. Let's go.
And Big Red, you've got some news regarding the Evil Dead and Bruce Campbell, and it sounds like he may be producing an Evil Dead film.
Yeah, at the New York Comic Con this past weekend, they had a Evil Dead panel. Unfortunately, it's not going to be Evil Dead 4. They are doing a remake of Evil Dead, the very first movie.
This is my boomstick.
On the panel, though, they had Jane Levy, she's going to be the star, a cute little redhead from ABC's hit show Suburgatory.
Well, me and Max were kind of wondering, who's going to play Ash in these, because it's going to be some big shoes to fill.
Well, I just told you, it's going to to be Jane Levy that's going to be a female in this.
She has tiny feet.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. It's they thought
this
maybe
makes me want to.
This is my boomstick.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not really keen on the idea, but I guess if Bruce is supporting it, I will.
Yes. Well, also at the Fede Alvarez is directing this, and Panic Attack was a YouTube film that this person did. But also at the panel showing support was the Bruce Campbell.
Oh, wow.
Working the crowd into a frenzy in regards to Evil Dead 4. He said that he made several references and said that him and Sam Raimi wants nothing more than for another Ash film to happen, and they would continue to push for it until they're both on their deathbed. But they said for right now it was time to pass the torch on to a younger generation. So, and Campbell also promised that he had worked to ensure that we would not be screwed over by this movie. So he has really,
What's that?
I think he's really put his input into it and really made sure if it's going to be called Evil Dead, that it lives up to the other ones.
All right, what do you think about this, Max? I'm not so.
Oh, I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic about it, but it's hard when they're remaking a movie that's so close to your heart. I mean, which the Evil Deads are to me.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be kind of funny to have a female in the lead role.
Well, Campbell, he talked about that. He defended the idea of a female lead in the new film. He said it was more traditional to have a female lead in a horror film instead of a male one. He referenced that in the movie that Sam had raised the money for Evil Dead in the first place, and
Well, it was Bruce was just so damn funny they had to.
Yeah. If Bruce Campbell's okay with it, give it the benefit of the doubt.
Well, as long as, I guess, if Campbell and Raimi are making some money.
But this one sounds like, though, it's pretty much going to be a straight-up horror. There's really not going to be the comedy element
I wonder if they're going to have the Book of the Dead and all that in there, too.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's pretty much a retelling of the first one. And I guess they debuted a bit of the trailer, and I guess the amount of blood in it was pretty staggering, even compared to the first one.
Well, maybe they can put Campbell in it as like the creepy gas station guy or something, I guess. I don't know.
They need to have the Necronomicon.
They got to at least have the Necronomicon.
It's a definite must, if you ask me.
Yeah. Next year, I guess, to release on that one.
Yeah, that's still, I don't think they've announced yet when that's going to see theaters.
Mm-hmm. Sam Raimi's busy at work on the Oz the Great and Powerful, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Starring James Franco.
Yeah. I heard Mila Kunis is in that, too.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's on the cover of Esquire this month. I just got that. All right. Well, back to the horror show. Max, do you got any other gems or anything else you could tell us about films that you're kind of sold on that, you want to scare your girlfriend into jumping into your lap? We can watch this holiday season, or
if you're a big horror movie fan, you should really look into Netflix, because they've got them by the truckload on there.
Okay.
One I would have to recommend is called The Woman, which is a fairly disturbing movie. It's actually a semi-sequel to a movie called The Offspring that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that one.
But and also another one called Apartment 143, sort of
143.
Kind of a similar style to the Paranormal Activity movies, but maybe with a bit more action.
Yes. And the Paranormal Activity, what is that, 4 coming
4,
out soon?
that's coming out at theaters this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a fan of those, that'll be out there. There's also one called Sinister that is out in theaters right now. I don't think any of us have seen that, have we?
I tried to make it out to see it, but just due to poor scheduling on my part, I didn't quite make it to the theater.
It's hard to catch all these films, folks. We're
Yeah.
doing what we can. Okay, to close the show, we thought we'd do a little roundtable here and discuss our favorite horror movies of all time, and just bounce them off each other. Big Red, let's start with you. What's your favorite horror film that you would like to share with us?
Well, I don't really care for the slasher type movies like your Elm Streets or Friday the 13th. I tend to more like the psychological thrillers, and for me, one that I was just floored kind of when I saw it was Seven with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
It has some very kind of startling moments. It's got some great plot twists towards the end of the movie, things that you weren't expecting.
Yeah,
and
Kevin Spacey's scary as hell in that too.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
So that would be for me, you know.
Creepy Kevin.
Yeah, can't go wrong. Silence of the Lambs either. Both I kind of tend to. Those are more what I prefer.
Yeah.
They get inside your head and kind of nestle in.
Yeah, but definitely Seven's one. If you haven't seen it, definitely worth checking.
Yeah,
that
the horror
one out.
with a law enforcement edge to it. Okay. All right. Well, Max, what would you say?
Oh, if I had to look at the very top of my horror movie list, which is a pretty long list, really, I have to leave out the horror comedies when I'm thinking about my favorite horror movies, or else it would just be Evil Dead and Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
But I would have to say The Exorcist, just for good solid horror.
That's a very intense film
Yeah, that
too.
was.
It's one of my tops too.
Yeah, I remember we as kids went over at RC's. We had a double billing of Exorcist followed by Deliverance.
Oh,
and I don't know which one was more frightening.
Yeah. I think that was a mid-'70s scare-a-thon.
Yeah.
You really felt for Ned Beatty in that one, as well as Linda Blair in The Exorcist. And speaking of the 70s, my favorite movie would probably be, as far as the horror genre, being the most intimidating scared, would be the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre classic by Tobe Hooper. I will say, though, I really followed the Friday the 13th. My favorite would probably be Part 3 in 3D until they started trailing out and becoming more redundant than the first 4 were. I think I like the first 4.
I believe the third one is where he picks up the hockey mask, isn't it?
Yes. He lost the potato sack and got the hockey mask, and history was made.
Becomes the iconic Jason.
2 was Friday the 13th. Who was it? Was that Kevin Bacon?
Kevin
that was
Bacon
in
was he had a big role
he was
in it.
in the original Friday the 13th.
He took an arrow in the neck.
that?
Oh yeah, from underneath.
I think
Great
Johnny Depp
scene.
was Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, so a lot of big stars. That's where they got their
Yeah,
start.
so a lot of them did start in those films. So
Tom Savini really did the special effects and gore extremely well.
Yes,
in the, Friday the 13th.
Tom Savini is a name that people need to appreciate in the days of CGI that have totally taken away all the great gore and stuff. Tom Savini, yes.
Yeah, I do miss the days of just straight up buckets of blood.
The plastic and the rubber and
prosthetics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Fangora. That's what it's about. Okay, guys, do we have anything else to add before we say so long to our horror segment here on the Big and Tall Show? What's our Facebook page again?
The Big and Tall Show Movie Podcast. Please leave some comments, requests, questions. We will answer them. Email bigandtallshow@gmail.com.
Yes.
We'd love to hear from you guys. It was
And you could
great.
find
Yeah, great to hear from our friend Jimmy in New Jersey. He's listening. So
Yes.
shout out to our friend Jimbo.
Yes. Well, we can't thank Max for coming in the studio and
thank you for having me.
refreshing us and getting us involved with and informing us about some horror movies that he likes and highly recommends. It is a genre that people need to appreciate. If that's it, I just want to tell everybody thanks for listening to the Big and Tall Show, and we will see you again next time.
Dad, what are you doing? It's Shark Week.
Okay, here's the deal. You have 1 month to find jobs or you're out in your asses.
Dad, why are you talking to me like this? I'm your son.
You two guys leave me no choice. No television for a week.
What? You're high! Are you out of your mind?
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.